What if I told you that everything you think you know is wrong? That sounds radical, doesn't it? But think about it. How many times in life do we believe something to be an absolute truth, only to later discover a new perspective that changes everything? Today, we're going to challenge what has long been accepted without question. We're going to explore a story that you probably think you know. But what if there's more? Something hidden, something overlooked? Maybe the answers you have about the story are only on the surface, and the real truth is waiting to be. Get ready to embark on a journey that goes beyond what you've been taught. A journey where the familiar becomes unexpected, where every detail of the narrative reveals a new layer of understanding. By the end, you won't see the story the same way again. What once felt familiar. And so, I ask you again, are you ready to question everything new? The truth is, we are often led to believe in a single version of things. The simplest, most comfortable version. But is there something hidden? Something that, for cultural, historical, or even political reasons, was deliberately left out. There are certain terms that deeply stir our curiosity. Words like secret and hidden truth. They awaken something within us, an almost uncontrollable need to discover what lies beneath the surface. Who doesn't want to know what others don't? Who wouldn't want to be part of an exclusive circle of knowledge? What we're about to explore is a truth you may have never heard before, an interpretation that could completely change your perception. And the most interesting part? It's been there all along, in plain sight, but few have noticed. Think about it. Over the centuries, how many mistaken interpretations have been passed down from generation to generation? How many secrets have been buried, waiting for the right moment to be revealed? Now, you're on the verge of a discovery that goes beyond the ordinary, beyond what you've been told. What's coming will stir not only your curiosity, but also how you understand the most ancient principles. Because, deep down, the truth is more profound than we imagine. And this is where we begin to look at the story from a new perspective. What have we always heard about Genesis? Creation, the fall, the serpent. But what if the narrative we know is just a part of something much bigger, more complex? Let's think about this for a moment. The book of Genesis is rich in symbolism, full of metaphors that we often overlook. Now, imagine if, instead of seeing the serpent as just a simple agent of evil, we started exploring its role from a new angle, one that considers the linguistic and cultural roots of the time when this story was written. Did you know that in many ancient cultures, the serpent wasn't just a symbol of evil, but also of wisdom and transformation? It appeared as a creature that existed between the divine and the earthly, a bridge between human knowledge and something deeper. And in the context of Genesis, there might be a layer that few have considered. The serpent not just as the tempter, but as a symbol of chaos that forces humanity to make choices, to confront free will itself. Now, let's take it a step further. What if the expulsion from Eden was, in a way, a metaphor for the awakening of human consciousness? A journey of discovery and responsibility? Do you see how, little by little, this story that seems so simple begins to reveal new dimensions? And it's in this reinterpretation, this closer look, that the serpent stops being just a villain and becomes something much more interesting, a symbol of moral complexity, of choice and consequence. That changes everything, doesn't it? To better understand this new perspective, we need to look at other cultures and mythologies. The serpent, for example, appears in different traditions with meanings far beyond what we're used to. In Greek mythology, it's linked to healing and knowledge, as we see in the symbol of Asclepius, the god of medicine. In Mesopotamia, the serpent symbolized immortality and the cycle of life. These comparisons aren't mere coincidences. They show us that, in various cultures, the serpent is an ambiguous figure, with both positive and negative meanings. And when we bring this into the biblical narrative, everything starts to fit together differently. The serpent in Genesis could, in fact, represent more than just evil. It may symbolize the tension between chaos and order, between divine wisdom and human desires. As we observe these parallels with other mythologies and religious texts, we can see that the role of the serpent goes far beyond being a figure of temptation. It becomes a reflection of the human condition itself, our choices, our mistakes, and, more importantly, our quest for knowledge and understanding. This isn't something limited to the Judeo-Christian tradition, but a universal theme that appears in different forms throughout human history. And suddenly, that narrative that seems so linear opens up to a range of interpretations. The comparison with other mythologies makes us see that Genesis isn't just a story of origin, but a deep reflection on the nature of humanity and its interactions with the divine. As we explore these different interpretations, the tension starts to build. Little by little, we realize that the serpent isn't just an evil creature, but a symbol that challenges the simplicity of the story. It's a being that raises questions, that forces us to confront the unknown and make choices, often without the certainty that we're choosing the right path. And this is where the story becomes even more fascinating. As we delve deeper into the layers of meaning, we encounter different views. Some see the serpent as a divine being, a messenger of something greater. Others interpret it as a symbol of primordial chaos, that force that has always existed, challenging divine order. Then there's a third view, the serpent as a moral metaphor. It represents that inner voice that pushes us to question, to disobey, but also to learn. The forbidden fruit, in this context, isn't just a symbol of sin but of knowledge, the awakening to the complex realities of life. And as these interpretations unfold, the tension grows. Each new layer brings a new possibility, a new way of understanding not just the story of Genesis, but the very essence of humanity. We are faced with a narrative that challenges us to ask questions, to embrace the unknown, and to find our place between order and chaos, between innocence and knowledge. And now you might be wondering, which of these views is the true one? The answer may not be as simple as you'd like. And in the end, maybe the truth doesn't lie in choosing just one interpretation, but in realizing that all these layers coexist, each revealing a facet of the story's complexity. Genesis, with its enigmatic serpent, invites us to reflect on our own journey, the choices we make, the mistakes we commit, and how these moments of tension shape who we are. Now, take a moment to think. If the serpent is, in fact, a symbol of chaos, wisdom, or morality, what does that mean for our own relationship with knowledge and free will? The story of Genesis forces us to face the truth that the search for understanding can be risky, sometimes even painful, but it's also inevitable. And this path of discovery is what helps us grow, question, and see the world through new eyes. At the end of this journey, we don't offer a definitive answer, but rather an opportunity for reflection. How does this new perspective on the serpent and Genesis change your understanding of faith, life, and humanity itself? Is chaos really something to be feared, or is it an essential part of our development? The truth is, the answers aren't set in stone. It's up to each of us to decide how these interpretations resonate in our lives and our faith. The conclusion here isn't a final point, but the start of a new reflection. After all, it's the questioning that moves us forward. And now, the choice is in your hands. How will you interpret this story from now on? Now that we've reached this point of reflection, a crucial question arises. What will you do with this new knowledge? It's not just about understanding the story from a new angle, but about how it can impact your life. Have you ever wondered what this reinterpretation could mean for your own spiritual journey? Maybe the serpent, the forbidden fruit, and even the expulsion from Eden are telling us something about our need for reconnection. Not just seeking answers, but also reconnecting with something greater. In the end, we are all called to action. The story of Genesis isn't just about what happened to Adam and Eve, but about what happens to each of us every day. The invitation here is clear. Reconnect with the divine, look at life through a new lens, and, above all, renew your faith. Are you ready to accept this journey? To see chaos, knowledge, and choice in a new way? Now is the time to make a choice. It's not just about understanding the past, but about how you will apply it in the present. And the action you take now can redefine everything. So, how about starting that reconnection today? To take that step, there's no need to complicate things. Everything we've talked about so far, all these deep and complex ideas, can be accessible to everyone. There's no need to dive into difficult terms or complicated language to understand what's at play here. The truth is simple, we're talking about choices. Choices that shape our lives, our relationships, and our faith. And just like in the story of Genesis, those choices may seem difficult at first, but with clarity and simplicity, you can find the way. The language we use here is direct because this truth is for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're familiar with these concepts or if it's your first time hearing these interpretations. The message remains accessible. The pursuit of knowledge and faith doesn't need to be complicated. It's within reach for anyone willing to look deeper, reflect, and act. So, as you think about this journey, remember, it's not the complexity that defines your faith, but the simplicity of your choices and the impact they have on your life. It's in this simplicity that we find the greatest power. Throughout this entire story, one thing remains constant: the scriptures. Everything we've discussed, all these new perspectives and interpretations, is based on a solid foundation, the biblical texts. They are what give us direction, what show us the way, and, most importantly, what provide us with the tools to reflect on the world around us. The verses we've heard since childhood can take on new meaning when we look at them through a new lens, but their essence remains the same. That's why, throughout this journey, we always return to the Bible, not as a static, distant text, but as a living source of wisdom, a key that helps us unlock the mysteries of our own hearts. Every interpretation, every discovery, must be rooted in the scriptures. And that's what makes this reflection so powerful, because we're basing everything on something that carries divine authority. When we use the Bible as our guide, we're connecting directly to the source, and that gives us the confidence that we're not just speculating, but truly seeking the truth. So, as you continue your own journey of discovery and faith, never forget to return to the scriptures. They are the foundation, the starting point, and the final destination of this search. Because in the end, it's there that we find the answers, even when they lead us to new questions.